A loaf sealed in a plastic bag, losing almost no water at all, still turns hard in 2 days. That one fact quietly destroys the explanation everybody repeats. That bread goes stale because it dries out. It doesn't. Something else is happening inside that crumb, a slow, invisible rearranging that runs fastest in your fridge and that your oven can partly undo. Bread doesn't dry into staleness. It crystallizes. The drying story feels obviously right, so let's kill it properly. Seal a fresh loaf airtight and it still goes stale on schedule, with the water still inside the bag. And look at what actually happens to a loaf on your counter. The crumb gets firm, but the crust, the part exposed to the air, the part that should dry first, goes soft and leathery. If staling were drying, that's exactly backwards. Whatever's making bread stale isn't about water leaving the loaf. It's about water moving and about what the starch does when it goes. To see it, you have to look at bread the moment it comes out of the oven. Flour is mostly starch, packed in tight little granules of neatly stacked molecules. Add water and heat, and those granules swell and burst, and the stacked molecules unravel into a loose, disordered tangle holding water between them. Bakers call that gelatinization. That tangle is what soft actually is, a chaotic, waterlogged mesh with nothing lined up. Fresh bread is starch caught in a mess, and physics does not like leaving a mess alone. From the second the loaf starts cooling, those unraveled starch molecules begin drifting back into their preferred, orderly arrangement. Piece by piece they line up and lock into tiny crystals, a process called retrogradation. Crystals are rigid where the tangle was floppy, so the crumb stiffens. And as the molecules pack together, they squeeze out the water they were holding, like a fist closing around a wet sponge. Nothing has evaporated. The loaf weighs almost the same. The starch simply tidied itself up and hardened as it did. That squeezed out water has to go somewhere, and it does. It migrates outward from the wet crumb into the dry crust. That's the clue from earlier solved. Your crumb gets hard because its starch is crystallizing. Your crust gets soft because it's soaking up the water the crumb just expelled. The loaf isn't losing moisture to the room. It's redistributing moisture inside itself. Stale bread is not dry bread. It's bread with its water in the wrong place, wrapped around starch that is quietly turned to crystal. Here's where it gets useful and genuinely counterintuitive. Retrogradation is not fastest when it's warm. It's fastest just above freezing, right around fridge temperature. Cold enough that the molecules lose the energy to stay tangled, still warm enough that they can shuffle into place. Put bread in the fridge, and it goes stale several times faster than the same loaf on your counter. The appliance you use to keep everything else fresh is, for bread specifically, a staling accelerator. The same rule explains both fixes. Go properly cold, into the freezer, and the molecules are frozen in place before they can line up. Staling essentially stops, which is why a frozen loaf thaws out soft weeks later. Go hot instead, above about 60 degrees Celsius, and you melt the little crystals back apart. That's what toasting or a few minutes in the oven really does. It isn't adding moisture, it's uncrystallizing starch. The catch is that a refreshed loaf starts crystallizing again the moment it cools, and it restales faster than the first time. So, bread doesn't dry out, it crystallizes, and the water it seems to lose has only moved from the crumb into the crust. That single mechanism gives you all three rules: counter for today, freezer for later, never the fridge, and heat to bring a loaf back one last time. A whole shelf of kitchen advice, explained by starch molecules quietly getting organized. If that changed how you think about the loaf on your counter, that's the whole point of this channel. Stick around, we keep cutting things open.